So for years, your real estate agent couldn't answer one of the most important questions you asked them. How are the schools? Is the neighborhood safe? They were trained to deflect. The answer is always go search on Google or sorry, I can't say that. Last month, HUD said that's wrong. The federal government just sent a letter out to every real estate professional in the country saying you can talk about this. You should talk about this. Today, we're breaking down what changed and what your agent can finally tell you. So, I'm Steve Vargas. I'm an associate broker and team leader at the Vargas team in the DMV area. With me today is Dwayne Ruffin.
How you doing? How's everyone going? Glad to be here.
Awesome. Awesome, Dwayne. Thanks for, I love when we talk about these moments and things like that, right? So, this episode for both audience. So, if you're thinking about buying or selling, this is the change that you can expect or you should be expecting. Or if you're an agent listening, this is what, change for your practice, right? So, just a quick disclaimer, we're not lawyers. Brokerages and states have their own rules that may be stricter than HUD guidelines. So, always check with your broker. And this episode is to inform you, not to give you any legal advice. So we don't get Dwayne. He looks like an attorney, but he's not. He's a real estate agent. All right. So let's get into it. Right. So here's what happened. HUD released. There was a news release pretty recently said that what's called a dear colleague email or letter to real estate professionals. The letter clarifies that real estate agents are not violating Fair Housing Act when they share information about neighborhood crime rates and school quality data, as long as it's done consistently and without discriminatory intent.
Wow. That's a big deal. It seems like for years we was told to tell people to go search it up on Google. Don't really engage in those type of topics.
Part of teaching you agents is I still mentioned the same thing until this was announced, right? And Dwayne, I think it's up to interpretation of what it actually means, right? So here's what the HUD Secretary Scott Turner said on the record. Americans should not be left in the dark about vital facts like neighborhood safety or school quality, right? End quote. So for 5 years, major brokerages and listing platforms restricted the sharing of neighborhood data, citing fair housing concerns. The result, buyers were left to figure out for themselves. Agents were paralyzed. HUD is now saying those restrictions were an overcorrection. What are your thoughts on that, Dwayne?
I just feel like the people that got hurt the most were first-time buyers, maybe the out-of-state buyers, ones who really needed their agent's local knowledge the most.
And especially in our area, your military family, right? There's people. What do they say usually when a military person relocates? I want to go to this area because of the schools, right?
Schools.
That's the biggest thing that I've seen, and I won't say a victim, but you're in that right. Sorry, the victim, but you're in that role of exactly what goes to, right? So, what does that mean? What can a buyer and a seller ask, right? So, if you're a buyer seller, here's what you can now expect to ask your agent and actually get a real answer, right? So, here's the one thing that I want it to be clear. If someone asks, well, crime data, right? What is the trending? What's going on? What type of crime property? What type of crime? Is it a property, personal? They can ask crime data information. They can ask school quality. What are the district? So if you're a buyer and seller, here's what you can expect to ask from your agent, right? Well, what's the crime trend here? What types of crime are happening? School ratings, district ratings, individual schools, programs, things like that.
Yeah, for sure. Also, things like the HOA history, code enforcement issues, the pending zone changes that may be taking effect. A lot of people like to know walkability scores as well, that city life, traffic patterns. All of this is now basically fair game.
And what's interesting is we always would just redirect it, like you said, right? Go to Google, go to crime, or go to city data, go to great school reviews. And I don't think that's anything bad. And the challenge was before is that it could be possibly that agents were so protected in themselves that they were like, well, if I say the school rating is a 9, are they going to say, well, are you trying to say because of a certain race, a certain class, right? So we can still provide, that information, the great school reviews, for example, says it's a 9. We can still do that. We can do that, right? And that's the difference. And the standard you should expect from your agent now is, well, here's the data. Here's what it shows. Here's what it might mean for you. Not opinions, data. So back then we would just say, go to city reviews. Well, now we can interpret, or I'm sorry, great school reviews. Now we can interpret what the numbers are in great school reviews. We still can't say it's good or bad. We can just say, here's information. You still deem what you think it's, if this aligns with you and your family, right? Because you're not asking them what they think. You're asking them to show you the facts.
Think too, one thing buyers still should not ask is anything really tied to the demographics or the protected characteristics of some people. I don't think you should ask really about the racial makeup or the religious composition or family statuses. I think that certain things like that is still off limits, I believe, for good reason.
Yeah, I agree. If they say, well, why is that school a 9? That's where you say, I'm sorry, you're going to have to do your research, right? Because now at that point, I can legally now let you know the actual numbers, but I can't actually say the reason why I think that's an opinion, right? So if you're an agent listening, the freedom comes with conditions, right? Mess this up and you're back in trouble. Here are the rules. So, number one, you have to be consistent, right? Share the same information the same way every client. If you still choose to say, you know what, here's a great school review for you to, or whatever website for you to review, stay the same way. Be consistent. Don't say, well, I'm going to answer this question for this person or answer this question for that one, right? Number two, use objective sources, police data, school district score cards, public records. Cite your source, right? Again, if you choose to relay basically the information. Number three, don't editorialize. The data shows X is fine. I wouldn't live here. Is not. You have to say this is the facts. It's not my, whether it's opinion or good or bad. It's just these are the facts. What other rules, Dwayne, we got?
I would say number four would be like avoid the protected characteristics. Never connect the data demographics or talk about the data on its own. Number five, document your process. Have handwritten information packets that basically show you that the offer is the same for in same info in it for every client. You know what I mean? I think the one more thing is the HUD clarifications. Federal state law can be stricter. Your brokerage can have its own policies. Verify with your MCA before you make a change to your practice and what you always been doing.
No, I agree. And at our team, the clarification fits how exactly we operate. We have a 5-letter standard, right? Our values of catch, care, coming from care, doing activity, being a team player, communication, and honesty. So the agent is honesty. We tell clients the truth, even when it's uncomfortable, but it's not an opinion. We tell them the fact, right? And C is care. We rather you, if we tell you the information that we provide from Great School Review, or if you choose to say, here's a link, and they say, well, I don't want to move forward, then that's fine. Whatever that reason is, it has to relate to that, to their goal, right? What are your thoughts on that, Dwayne? Have you ever had a situation where someone asks, hey, well, how are the schools? How do they relate? Or they say, you know what, I don't even want to move forward because the schools are bad.
Definitely, being in the military, I've seen where some people were just dedicated to a certain school or a certain county because they like a county this way. Or, but again, that was from their own words saying where they want it to be based off of the school. Again, schools are a big one. Based off the school that they want their child to be, whether it's a program that the school have another school may not have. That's a big one around here. Is definitely different schools offer different programs for different kids. So I've definitely came across your school district being a big one.
I love that, especially, and you're right, because there are some counties here where they want to go to this program or this academy class, so they will
Right.
allow them to move there, or you have to live in that certain area, right? So for us, this HUD clarification just makes our existing approach easier. We've always shared objective data when clients ask anyway. Now we don't have to dance around whether we're allowed to or not. Again, I still would suggest to be careful in terms of only relaying factual information. What are your thoughts in moving forward, Dwayne?
Again, as we speak about production without balance really doesn't show success. Serving clients well sometimes means telling them what they may not want to hear. That's just doing the job. It's guiding them, again, being that doctor of real estate. And sometimes it might not be the best news, but we know that it's definitely in their best interest. Not trying to get anybody in no type of steering situation or anything like that, and just continue to serve them and let them know what's best for them based off their goals.
I love that, man. And it's funny when I teach pre-licensing, I've had agents that I'm pretty sure they stepped away from the pre-licensing or the process because when I explained to them, we can only give factual information and not in our opinion. They were like, well, what is then our job? And I said, you can still accomplish the same goal, but it's how you go about it legally and ethically is what's important, right? If you can ask the client, hey, here's the school reviews for this area that I'm presenting you, it's a fact. And then they can tell you what areas they want to focus on, right? So I love that, Dwayne. That's a big thing. So 3 takeaways before we close. So 1, HUD said you can talk about it. 2, consistency and objective data are the rules. And 3, brokerages and state rules still apply. Verify before you change your practice, right?
And I think if you're thinking about buying or thinking about selling in Northern Virginia, and you want a team that doesn't dance around the hard questions, you reach out to us and we'll attach a calendar link here. We'll walk you through your situation. Again, based off of your goals and your situation, to try to provide the best way to you achieve your goals.
No, I love that. And if you're an agent and this episode helped you, it's exactly what our coaching at a refined mindset is built for, and also how our team thing does things, right? So reach out, let's talk, subscribe if you want to catch the next one. Let's get it.